Well, if we're gonna find any ghosts, we better split up.
You're listening to Never Split Up, a horror movie podcast.
There are certain rules that one must abide by in order to successfully survive a horror movie.
Hey everyone, and welcome back once again to the Never Split Up podcast. As always, I am your host, Nolan. Alongside me is Anthony and Oriana. What's going on, guys? How you doing?
Not too bad. I am enjoying the sunny weather in Oregon. I've been going on lots of walks.
Nice. Yeah, the weather's starting to turn for us here in Jersey as well. A couple cold days here and there, but I've been going outside with my son a lot, so it's good to just get out, get some fresh air. What's going on, Ann? How you doing?
What's going on? Yeah, I'm ready for warmer weather. I'm over this 30-degree shit, so.
Yeah, we had a brutal winter on the East Coast, so I think we're just ready to just kind of spring free from our houses for sure. We have a good episode today. I'm excited. Anytime we do a ranking episode, you know me, Anthony, I'm all for it, and they seem to do well with the listeners. So we are doing our favorites of, I guess, our favorite, like, what would you call it, like vintage horror, anything before 1970. So we're going to cover the 60s and even before that. We've lumped them all together. So it's going to be our favorite old school horror movies. We're going to do top 10. We're going to have a top 10, and that's going to be fun. It's going to be a series that we're going to be doing where we're going to go through each decade from here on out. So we'll start with the 70s, the 80s, 90s, 2000s, and we'll work our way from there. Those will be spread out. Obviously, we're not going to do them back to back because we still love our movie reviews. But yeah, this will kick off that, I guess, little series. So I'm excited for that. You guys got your lists ready?
Hell yeah.
Yep.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, it's such a big, obviously, time period that we're covering. It's not just one decade. So I did a little bit of scrambling, doing some like rewatches and stuff I haven't seen in a long time. I obviously couldn't get to everything, but I think I have a pretty good list. So this should be fun. Before we get into our list, though, we just wanted to shout out all of you guys, all of you listeners. We've been doing really well on all of our platforms, but especially on Spotify. So thank you to everyone who listens and watches on Spotify and YouTube. I see your comments, by the way, especially on Spotify. I am so bad. I'm the one who runs the Spotify. I'm so bad at like responding and following up with the comments and checking them. So, but I do see you guys and I appreciate you. And I love the lively discussions you have under some of our videos. So keep it up. Just keep it respectful, which you guys have been, but just, yeah, keep it up. So, and also, we also have a big milestone we hit on TikTok, right, Oriana?
Yeah, we hit just a little over 1,000. I think we're at like 1,011 last time I checked. So that's really cool. Thank you all for following us and answering our our questions that I've been like posting. Also need to start posting more on there and just saying hello. But yeah,
yes.
Thank you. We are very appreciative.
Yes, very, very appreciative. That's a big milestone. We're going to try to post more consistently on there. And just thank you to everyone, just in general. The podcast is going well. And yeah, couldn't be happier. So that's awesome. Okay, let's just dive right in. This is going to be a pretty big episode. We each have a top 10 list. And of course, we're going to do honorable mentions because that's what we always have to do. Anthony, I think, would implode if we didn't do those. So I think we'll do the same format we did last time. So we'll go one by one, obviously, count through our top 10. We'll do some honorable mentions towards the end of the list. That way it doesn't spoil our list before we even get to them. And we'll just take it from there. So without further ado, here is our favorite horror movies from before 1970. I guess I will go first, since I have the floor already, and I will kick things off with a very fun one. You know me, Anthony. You know I like to kind of diversify my lists. I like to kind of go in different directions and, you know, whatnot. So I had to put like a kid's movie, an animated movie on there. It's probably a pretty big clue for you because you know I love this story and this villain. It is The Legend of Sleepy Hollow, released in 1949. It's the part of the anthology movie called The Adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad. It was a Disney animated film. Not super scary, obviously, because it's Disney, but The Legend of Sleepy Hollow specifically in this film is just so fun. It's a movie that you can watch with your kids. I mean, I watch it by myself. I have no shame, but I love the story of the Headless Horseman and Ichabod Crane, and they do a beautiful job. The art style is amazing in that film. You know, it was released in 1949, so that old school kind of animation style was really fun, and I'm just always been drawn to this story. I love almost every single adaptation of this story. I love the short story, the actual book. So yeah, I had to throw that on there because it's one of the few, and this is, I guess, maybe a disclaimer for my list, theme for my list is, you know me, Anthony, I don't do as many rewatches, like it's just in general, as you do. So when we're going this far back, we're talking 60, 70 plus years back. I don't really rewatch these films a whole lot, I will admit, because there's just so much to get to just in general, and I like to watch newer films generally. So normally criteria for me would be rewatchability, but that's less of a criteria for me here. It's more about kind of how good these films are and like kind of the emotions that they made me feel when I watched them, because I've only seen these movies like a couple times maybe. So, but this one is probably the one I've rewatched the most out of all of them, just because it's a fun, short, little animated film. I'm excited to show my toddler, Calvin, when he's maybe old enough to understand what's going on. That's going to be maybe one of his first horror watches. So yeah, this is a really fun one. I thought I'd kick us off with a fun little family friendly film.
Awesome.
I didn't even think of that one. I think I watched it once and then I found it thrifting a couple of years ago and I was like, I need to have this in my
that's
collection.
awesome.
Oh, that is like the illustrations on that are still so cool. There's some that are like, they're like the pre-spooky before like spooky became like a big thing.
It's a lot of spooky vibes. That brings me back to my childhood, that one. I love it so much.
Yes.
It has a nice place in
I
my
think
heart.
I watched it like in school too. I think they might have showed it to us like in elementary school.
It's the perfect
I
one
feel
to watch like on a cloudy Saturday morning.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
It's
I feel
so
like it used to
cozy.
play.
Yeah.
It is.
Late night, like maybe on like Disney or I don't know.
It
Somewhere.
was, yeah, definitely a lot.
Yeah, definitely during Halloween it would play a lot on the Disney Channel. Yeah.
I love
Okay,
that.
who wants to go next?
I can go next. I'm gonna start my number 10. I'm not a big sci-fi monster guy, but I have to give some love because of the imagery. And my number 10 is Godzilla from 1954.
Ooh, nice.
I just couldn't not put it on the list because the imagery. I know it's hokey because it's the 50s, but it's so iconic and almost it is like a warm hug. Those effects to me, and damn, I'd rather that than some of the CGI stuff we get today. It's so good, and it's the first time that we've seen Godzilla in a film, and I just remember watching it with my grandpa over and over, you know, whether it was on TMC channel or whatever, but it's just a fun time, and I love the effects, I love the action, and I love Godzilla. It made me fall in love with Godzilla, and I believe this is the first one I saw before I saw the one from like the 90s, and obviously all the newer ones, but it has a special place in my heart, so this is one of the creature features I always go back to.
Awesome. I didn't know you were an OG Godzilla fan. That's cool
I
to
am,
hear.
yeah.
Learning something new every time. Awesome. No, that's great. That's a great pick. Great pick for your number 10 to start your list, too.
Yeah.
Doesn't get much more iconic than Godzilla. It's still going strong. I mean, you got the sequel to -1 coming out this year. You have all the American adaptations that are coming out that make a ton of money and are just fun. So, yeah, definitely still going strong. That's awesome. Okay, Oriana, what do you got for us, number 10?
All right. So my number 10 was one that was out of pure curiosity because I was like, when I heard the name of it, I was like, I have to look and see what it is. And that is the 1942 film Cat People. So it's about like a woman who like is like going to marry this man and she believes that her like cat like curse is going to pass on if they do. And so he ends up falling in love with someone else, and then she ends up like stalking him. So it's just like a kind of like a early like female kind of like, she's a little bit of a like kooky like rage. So it's not like this overly like like those, it's kind of hard with those films back in the day. They didn't have like too many jump scares, and the jump scares are kind of like really subtle with like, like the bus like coming in, and like those kind of jump scares just kind of put you in the time of like being back when watching horror at this time. Like these little subtle things are just like that they do. It just kind of, I like it because it just reminds you of like that time period and the little things that they would add to the movies to kind of bring the audience in. That we see now is kind of like, whatever. But back then it was like, oh my God, the bus stop like scared me, So, yeah, I think it's a fun film. Some people like it. Some people say it's just a little dull, but I don't know. It piqued my curiosity. It was like cat people. And then definitely was not people in cat suits, but I still was happy.
I've seen clips from that, but I have to watch the whole thing.
Yeah.
It does intrigue me. It intrigues me very much.
Yeah, it's definitely not, the name is definitely misleading, but overall, it's not terrible.
I love that.
Yeah, that was a movie that doing this research for this episode. It was a movie that stood out on a bunch of different articles and Reddit posts. People saying it is their favorite from that time period, and I hadn't seen it, so it was one that I wanted to get to. I just couldn't get to because I wanted to rewatch other stuff for the list. So
yeah, it's like
that'll definitely go on my list to watch now.
It's like everyone was like, it's the only good 40s film to watch. I'm like, oh, well, it's like I only think I have like 140s on here. A lot of them are like 30s and 60s in that time period because those OGs. But yeah, cat people.
Okay, great. All right, number 9 for me is going to be my first foreign film on my list. It is going to be from Italy, 1960s Black Sabbath, also known as, forgive me if I butcher this, but I Tre Volti della Paura, I think is how you say it in Italian. But Black Sabbath, just an awesome anthology horror movie from Italy. It's the band Black Sabbath got their name from this film. They saw it when they were before the film. The band was even a thing, so that's a cool little fact. It's Boris Karloff narrates this anthology. The legendary Boris Karloff, and it's just great. If you guys haven't seen it, it's really just stunning. It's 3 different short stories. The one is about kind of this call girl who comes home and starts getting stalked over the phone. Gives me very like Black Christmas vibes, the way she's stalked over the phone, and it's like this mystery and it's got a twist ending. So that's cool. There's a vampire story in there, which is awesome. I always love gothic and vampires. And the third one is The Ring. It's a nurse who steals a ring from an elderly lady and starts getting haunted by this ring. And there's like these drops of water that happen throughout the story that kind of signifies the haunting, and it's very unique and very cool. But it's such a beautiful film, and I wanted to throw it on there because I'm sure not a lot of people have seen it because it is an Italian film. It's from the 60s, but don't let that kind of dissuade you. The American version is Black Sabbath. It's reordered a bit, and they cut out a few scenes. I would suggest you watch the Italian version because it's doesn't have as much cut out, and there's more like graphic stuff going on. The American version is kind of watered down a bit, but both versions are still good, and it's just like a strikingly beautiful film as well. So, yeah, Black Sabbath, number 9 for me.
I have not watched that one.
I've seen it once a long time ago when I was like seeking out older horror, and I remember really liking it. And I love anthology, so it's always
me too. Yeah, I'm always going to seek out an anthology. Yeah,
I got to rewatch that though. All right, my number 9 is going to be a funhouse horror, and it's House on Haunted Hill from 1959. I mean,
Nice.
William Castle and Vincent Price. I mean, say no more. That's all you need. I love this one because it literally feels like a carnival haunted house ride. I believe they actually used props that were used in the time at carnival haunted house rides. And it's just a fun time. The premise, obviously, you invite people over, and if you make it through the night, I think in the original, it's this one you get like $10,000, whereas like in the remake you get $1 million. But it's just so charming, and it's what you think of when you think of William Castle and Vincent Price chewing up the scenery. This movie I think also showed how important marketing is. This was when they released it in theaters, they actually had the gimmick of putting like a ghost on a wire and pulling the wire in the theater, and everyone freaked out. So this introduced a lot of gimmicks that we've seen to this day, and it also is a great, if you've never done it, it's a great double feature to watch with the remake. You can watch this like classic ghost story, haunted house ride, and then go to the batshit crazy violent 1999 remake, which is on my top 10 favorite remakes of all time. So I love watching them back to back. And this is just what I think of and love when I think of fun haunted house horror. And I love it so much. And, William Castle's gimmicks and everything, like, inspired so many horror filmmakers, like, to be like, oh, we could do a low budget horror and we can make it big. So this is a special one. It's a biggie. So I was actually surprised that I had a few from the 50s, and I thought, I'm like, oh my God, my whole top 10 is going to be 60s, but I got to fit it in. So yeah, I love House on Haunted Hill. It's a gem.
Nice.
Awesome. I have a confession to make. I have not seen the original. I've only seen the remake. Yeah, it's one of the big ones that I got to go back and watch. It's one of the classics that I've never seen. So now that it made your list, I definitely have to go watch it now. So
yeah,
okay,
same.
great.
I haven't watched the original. It's one I think because I have a collection of like older VHSs that I like have in a bin that I haven't don't have out, but I think that's one that I have in there. I just never have watched it. I've only watched the remake. But does the remake live up to the original, or does it
I think it complements it, and it's its own
Okay.
thing, but it obviously complements and pays homage, same concept, but they're two very different beasts, but they belong together because they are both a little like crazy and hokey, but they're just so different in the execution. So I love them both.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Cool.
I
All
need to get more well-versed in older horror because
It's
there's some
they're
gems
just fun.
for sure.
They're fun.
Yeah, they're fun. Yeah.
a lot of them are just like slower paced and like I'm so used to that like bam, 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 bam that like I have to be in a certain mood for a slower paced film.
It's good though. It's good to reset your brain, like our short attention spans nowadays. It's good to go back and just try.
And this movie's only
it.
75 minutes, so you got what you're gonna get, a nice short, quick movie.
Yeah, but the 75-minute movies from like the 50s feel like 2 hours. So I will agree with Oriana.
This is fun though. You'll like this one. You'll laugh and have a good time with this one.
Perfect. All right. So my number 9 is one that was part of like the older like finds that it's iconic. So I wanted to watch it, and that's The Birds, Hitchcock. I don't like it. Doesn't have like music with it. When I first watched it, I didn't realize there was no score to it. So a lot of it is just kind of built on suspense and a lot of freaking birds. So it's just one that I always kind of like put on in the background, and all of a sudden I see all of the like that one scene with the jungle of like all of the birds. It's just like one of the most iconic scenes, and one of my dearest friends, she hates birds. And so I always want to send her like clips from this movie. And the CGI is not that great. All the birds swarming over, and you're like, but it's fun. Like you find something very, endearing with all of these older horror, like what they were able to do with the time. And, now you look back and you're like, oh, these birds look ridiculous. But for the time, you're like, real cool. So,
oh yeah.
I think The Birds is definitely an iconic one that deserves the recognition it gets. Hitchcock, he, when reading and researching about like his films, like the main actress, I forget her name.
Tippy.
Yes. Yeah. She actually had birds like tied to her to create that like one scene where she's like moving around. So I was like, that's a little intense, but I mean, it made for a good shot, I guess. But yeah, so the birds, cat people and the birds. It's an animal theme right now.
Yeah, there you go. No, it definitely deserves its flowers for sure. I mean, that was Hitchcock kind of bringing back the creature feature into the 60s, back into the limelight. So definitely, I mean, that movie scared the shit out of me when I was really little. When I was like 5, 6 years old, that was one of the movies that was very scary. And I would go outside and like, I would see like, you know, crows or whatever, like on the power line. I'd be like freaked out. So yeah,
that happens here
iconic
in the city. There's like 40 or 50 birds that just swarm in like, it's just crazy. I'm like, oh God.
Yeah.
It's
no, it's a brilliant film, right? Because he takes something that's so ordinary and happens everywhere, and turns it into just this terrifying story that just traumatizes people. So yeah, that's great.
Yep.
Okay. So number 8 for me, we're going iconic territory now. Iconic. Got to put this on the list. It's Dracula, 1931. Bela Lugosi. We've covered this, me and Anthony, a year or so ago on the podcast. I mean, what can you say more than Bela Lugosi? This movie's not perfect. We talked about it, Anthony. It's got some slow parts, like you mentioned, Oriana. Some of these movies have some slow parts, but it's really just, I'm really just putting it on there for just the legendary Bela and what he does with this role. The cinematography is good. Obviously, like I said before, I love vampires. I love the gothic cinematography of it. But every time I watch this movie, every few years, I'm just like in awe of his performance. I mean, he is Dracula. He is the standard. Everyone who's after him tries to emulate him in some way or another. They'll do their own version, but they always fall back to the different things that Bela created with this character, and just one of, if not the most iconic characters on my list, and just in any list period. I mean, when you think Dracula, you think of Bela Lugosi, at least I do. So had to put it on my list. It's number 8. I mean, it could have been higher, but again, it's not like a perfect film, but it's just so damn important and just so iconic that it obviously was going to make my list.
Yeah, it's definitely an iconic one for sure.
I got 3 different decades covered so far. I got the 40s, the 60s, and the 30s. So I'm getting diverse here.
I think we just said how like important that movie was to cinema and horror alone. So
I'm so appreciative of it.
Deserves its flowers for sure. All right, my number 8. I'm sticking with The Hauntings, and I'm going with The Haunting from 1963. Shirley Jackson adaptation. I think I actually read the book. So I think this movie really captures the essence and like the psychological aspects of the book really well. And it's just, again, I love my old horror because I like simple and simplicity. And it's literally a doctor assembling a team of people to prove whether or not a house is haunted. Love the simplicity. I love the atmosphere of this movie. And again, of course, we're going back in the day, so it's cheesy and hokey, but I like that there's a lot of sequences that are implied where you don't see like the House on Haunted Hill type stuff where the fear is implied, which makes it scarier. And it's just, again, a vibe, this movie. The atmosphere is top notch. I love my silly 1999 remake because that's when I grew up, but I do prefer this one. And it just inspired so many movies and shows. And again, like this one, the 1999 remake, and then My Baby, The Haunting of Hill House, the Netflix show, all these are intertwined so well. And again, they are really good watches all separately, but I really loved the psychological horror in this supernatural horror movie. And it's just, again, the marketing on this one is amazing. You know, the screaming in the trailer, and I just love everything about it. There's like a hanging scene where, again, you don't see the hanging, but you see the feet dangling. I thought the visual cues are awesome. And yeah, this one's a gem to me, and I go back to it quite often. So yeah, The Haunting from 1963.
Sweet. That's one that is on my list of like, I'm going to watch that one because like, I was like, I didn't realize how influential it was for its time and a lot of things that came from it. So
Yeah,
I'm
for sure.
excited to watch it when I have some time to get to it. I'm like, that's one that's like on my list of like top.
Yeah,
All right.
definitely. It's one that I have seen, but I have not seen in so long that I couldn't put out. It's just spoiler. It's one of my honorable mentions. It's not on my list, but only because I haven't really seen it recently, so I felt weird putting it on my top 10 when I'm like so fuzzy on the movie. But I remember how it made me feel, and it was definitely it definitely made me feel like a good type of way. I was like, oh, this is a good film. So excited to get back to that one too. That was another film that I'm doing my research for this episode. I was like, oh, I need to watch that again. That is definitely a solid film. So good pick for sure.
Oh, so for my number, 8 is it?
Yes.
My number 8, I'm going with Spider Baby. This story is crazy with the cannibal family that is like ancestral, and their just decline towards the end is just great. I love Virginia, and then Ralph is creepy. So it's just like, and I love that they're like the only one who kind of really cared for them was their like, what is his name? He's like their, not their chauffeur. He's like their, like, he's not related to them, but who is it? Anyway, he loves them so much. And so when he goes to like, he's trying to like, when the aunt and uncle come in to like take over, he's just like, be careful. And then like other people trying to like sue them. It's a crazy freaking film for the 60s. And you get this story. And I think that I understand why a lot of people have recommended this one to watch, because it's fucking wild. So if you have not already, Spider Baby.
I haven't seen it. No.
Yeah, like it's like before, like it's like the crazy.
That's the one with the
Texas,
with the kids, right?
There's like the 3 siblings that they have like a
I
condition.
read about it. I haven't seen it. Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't want you to give away too much. Yeah. Because I'm sure other people haven't seen it either that are listening. But I did see that, and I was like, oh, that does look fucked up. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Especially it was the 60s, you said?
Mm-hmm,
yeah,
late
for the
60s.
60s.
Yeah. So
60s were banging with horror.
They were.
70s was my sweet spot. I'm like the 60s.
Yeah,
the 70s, I feel like they really went with a lot of paranormal kind of, because that's where we get the Omen and the Exorcist.
Well, yeah.
Well, I mean 60s too, because we have the haunting on Hill House. There's a few others, but
the 70s went like really bleak, and then the 60s we had more fun. Like the 70s, like let's get down to the horror, like bleak.
Well, yeah, I think the 70s was more tight. The films were tighter, and they were just like learning how to better make movies. Like there's so many masterpieces from the 70s, but the 60s they were just having fun. I feel like they were just like throwing shit at the wall, and they're like, oh, this is cool, this is crazy, So you have such a diverse, lineup in the 60s, I think.
Yeah, a lot of them like come off like comedies, but for the time that was horror.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
the transatlantic accents are still there a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, great. We will keep it rolling right along. We're on number 7 now, and okay, this is a biggie. Hold your pitchforks.
Uh-oh.
But I have 1960s Psycho out for TikTok.
Okay.
And I've talked about this on the podcast. I'm not a huge Hitchcock guy. This is my representation of him on my list. I almost went with The Birds, Oriana, but I had to go with Psycho over The Birds for obvious reasons. I mean, Anthony Perkins alone just elevates this film above anything else that Hitchcock, in my mind, has done. This is his best movie. Janet Leigh is incredible. Obviously, people talk about the beats of the film and, the shower scene and the twist at the ending, but I just love how layered and complex this film is. I mean, even our main protagonist is so complex and just like not a straightforward like hero or a good person. She has like a complex backstory and stuff. So I love how layered the movie is. And yeah, I mean, Anthony Perkins, again, I'm a villain guy, so his performance has just stood the test of time. And I felt wrong not putting a Hitchcock movie on my top 10. I'm like, I'm not the biggest fan, but I'm like, Psycho is good. It is really good. Sorry it's not higher, but I have a feeling it's going to be a lot higher for maybe you guys, especially you, Ant. But yeah, I mean, it's still, I mean, top 10. We're covering a lot of different years here for these movies, so it's still such a great film. And it's one of the few, like I said earlier in the podcast, I don't revisit all these films too much, but it's one of the few that I'll visit every few years just to remind myself kind of how iconic it is. So yeah, Psycho, number 7 for me.
That's my baby. I love Psycho so much, so we'll be talking about it later.
Yes, we will, for sure.
But before that, my number 7 is going to be Cape Fear from 1962. Again, my trend is that all my things on my list so far, they're part of, I wouldn't say franchise, they're not all connected, but IPs that are still going. So like these originals have really made an impact. And again, the simplicity of a lawyer's family is being stalked by a man who the lawyer put in jail. And it's just a stalker killer movie, revenge movie, and it's simple and it goes for it. And I love Gregory Peck. You know, when we get to the 70s, we'll talk about him again in The Omen, but Gregory Peck and Robert Mitchum just going at it is iconic. I love the score. I love it all so much. And it just builds and builds and builds and builds and builds to the epic conclusion and fight. And again, I feel like set the template for so many of these like stalker and then revenge movies. So I love it so much. I'm also obsessed with the remake with Robert De Niro and Nick Nolte and my girl Jessica Lange. And I'm so excited for the new Apple TV series, reimagining coming out with Patrick Wilson and Amy Adams. And I believe Javier Bardem is playing Max Candy in this one. So I am obsessed with Cape Fear. I remember watching again this one with my grandpa all the time. It's a gem of a movie, and again, I feel like it really kickstarted the stalker revenge subgenre.
I don't think I've watched Cape Fear either.
Oh, it's so good.
Adding it to the list. I have a running list of things I want to say.
Yeah. I figured we'd have a bunch of films on our list that we haven't seen, especially me and Oriana. I know, Anthony, you're love the classics, but I figured we'd be jotting down films. I mean, I have such a diverse set of films here, so this is why I wanted to cover these older films, especially for the listeners, too. I think it's great to kind of shed, some light on these films that haven't really been talked about in so long. I mean, and guys, anyone listening, if we don't talk about a film, definitely leave it in the comments. Yes. And for us too. I mean, we're always looking for stuff to review and stuff to watch. So that's great. Yeah, Cape Fear, solid choice. Solid choice. I think I've seen the original. I definitely seen the De Niro one. I'll have to revisit that as well again. So
definitely.
Okay, awesome. We're to Oriana now, right?
All right. So here is our first. The same we have. I put on number 7 is the 1931 Dracula, strictly because it's iconic. Like, how could you not include this list without him? There is another vampire that I do have higher, but this one for me is like Dracula. Other than for me, Bram Stoker, because that was my first horror movie. This is when I think of Dracula, the second Dracula I think of, like. So, I mean, that stare. And also this is another one where there isn't a score to it. So a lot of it is just the sounds and him standing there. And, it's definitely got its flaws, but, it's iconic. And how could you not include, a Dracula that everyone is going to associate with? He's higher on the list. And there was the other one. Was it not? Oh, Brides of Dracula. That I definitely want to watch. I own it, but I still have not watched it yet. So here's another crossover.
No, it's great. Yeah, I mean, just so iconic. Like you said, there's really no score. You just have kind of Bela Lugosi's like booming voice, just kind of dominating the film. He's the children of the night. Like, it's just fucking so great. It's so great. Yeah. Awesome. Okay.
Right.
Rolling right along. We're getting there. We're number 6 now. And number 6 for me is another biggie. maybe one of, if not the most influential films on my list. It is 1968's Night of the Living Dead, George Romero. I mean, the start to the zombie genre as we know it, the legendary Romero. What can I say? People always talk about this one. They talk about Dawn of the Dead, the sequel. They go back and forth. I personally prefer this film to the original Dawn of the Dead. Now, the remake of Dawn of the Dead is a different story. I love that film so much because I grew up with it. But if we're talking about the OGs, I prefer this one. I think it's a lot creepier. It's kind of more secluded and kind of, there's like obviously a smaller cast. It's more about like just feeling enclosed in and just kind of trying to survive in this tiny house. And it's just creepy. The shots of all the zombies walking through the woods and stuff, like surrounding the house, they're imprinted in my brain. The themes that it talks about, obviously the civil rights movement and everything was pretty prevalent in the 60s, obviously. So those play into it as well. But such a great movie for such a low budget indie film where it's just, you could tell it was like kind of guerrilla filmmaking. Obviously Romero's legendary for his prosthetics and his makeup. This is where he got his start with that. And the zombies still look so good today. I mean, some of the close-ups of these zombies just look amazing. I love how the different zombies look like they're decaying at different rates, and some are more decayed than others. My personal favorite are the few in the film where it's like half their face is kind of melting off and the other half is still intact. It just looks so realistic. And the ending is just, it's like anxiety inducing when they're just being surrounded. They're breaking through the house and shit's hitting the fan, and it's not a happy ending. I don't want to spoil too much if nobody's seen it, but if you're a zombie fan, I mean, you have to watch Night of the Living Dead. I mean, it's just where we get all the tropes from, and it's just so iconic. So, that is number 6 for me.
One of the greats.
Yeah.
Okay, my number 6 is going to be one that, again, I'm going to bring it always back to Scream. And in Scream 4, Ghostface quizzed Kirby and asked her, name the first slash movie that showed the audiences and the killer POV. And she's like, Psycho. And he's like, no, Peeping Tom. It came out a few months before Psycho. So I am going with Peeping Tom from 1960, which came out a little bit before Psycho. And God, this movie is a really, really, really awesome slasher. It does have a lot in common with Psycho. I feel like the Mark in Peeping Tom could go hang out and have a beer with Norman Bates. It's very, very, they have a lot in common, but it's pretty much the concept of a man who murders women, and then he uses a camera to capture the expressions on their face as they die. So it's kind of really, really bleak, and it has a lot of psychological stuff going on. You find out why he's motivated to do what he does as the movie goes, but it's just such a great horror movie, and I feel like nobody talks about it as a slash movie. And when I saw it after Scream 4 came out, I was like, oof, yeah, this is a banger. So if you haven't seen it, check it out. It's a good slasher. It has a lot of similarity to Psycho, but the psychological aspects are a little bit different in this one, and I highly recommend it. Very, very, very good movie. So thank you, Scream 4, for introducing me to this one.
That's
Awesome.
definitely one I come across when researching older films, and Peeping Tom was one that came up a few times, but it's just one that I was
creepy.
all right.
Yeah, it's a little, it's unsettling. It's not fun, but it's good.
But Scream 4 mentioned it, so you gotta check it out.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So 6. Mine, I'm gonna go with the OG Frankenstein. It's just iconic. The creature, he was a monster. He was just learning how to navigate life. He's a lot more kind of like less human in this one than in Bride. But I love the scene when he just freaking tosses the chick into the lake.
Yeah.
And I just, I feel like in the newer one, I felt more emotion for creature, and in this one it's more like this kind of like goofy, new to the earth kind of situation. And then, you know, the whole getting attacked by a giant mob of people. And then being a very sad story. It's just, I love this one. And I feel like I love Creature and I feel bad for him every time. He's so brand new to the world and you want to protect him, but then that's just not really how life is and society is. And that just shows you kind of, you know, just kind of wanting to try to like belong a little bit and, you know, the world turning against you. So I have it at my number 6 because, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, similar to Bela Lugosi's Dracula. I mean, this is the definitive version in terms of the way Frankenstein looks. When you think of Frankenstein, it's, you know, it's this OG Frankenstein. You can have your favorites, you know, different versions, but like this is what you think of. I mean, just so iconic. And yeah, it's a solid film. I mean, it's solid. It's not on my list, but it's fun to go back and I mean, all the Universal, you can't go wrong with any of those monster movies. So yeah, for sure. That's a good number 6. Okay, my turn again. We're chugging right along.
Oh, it's 3.
What's that?
Oh, I thought we were doing our honorable mentions, but we're doing it third, right before third.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Let's go. Yeah, let's go 5 and 4, and then we'll do it before our top 3. Okay. Yeah. All right, number 5 for me. I'm heading over across the Pacific to Japan, and I'm going with Akira Kurosawa, one of the greatest directors of all time. I'm going with Throne of Blood, released in 1957. Have you guys seen this film?
I've never seen it.
You got to watch it. This was the golden age of Japanese cinema, the 50s and 60s. This is when they really started to introduce like folk Japanese horror into their movies. And the legendary Kurosawa, if you're not familiar with his work, just watch all of his film, like this whole filmography. It's just beautiful, beautiful stuff. The cinematography back then that he was doing in Japan, just incredible stuff. The technology that they had overseas was just rivaled Hollywood for sure. But yeah, this movie was like his only real foray into horror. It's basically a retelling of Shakespeare's Macbeth set in feudal Japan. And it's got spirits and ghosts in the woods. Some of the imagery just has stuck with me for so many years, of the one ghost lady like in the bamboo forest, just kind of just being creepy. I don't know how else to say it. It's just a really good story though. Like I said, it is Macbeth basically, but it's set in Japan. So if you're familiar with Macbeth, you'd be familiar with the story. If you haven't seen it, check it out. I don't want to like say too much about it because it's just such a legendary film. It's a little long. It's almost 2 hours long. I think it's like an hour and 45 minutes long, but it's definitely worth it. It's such a gorgeous film, and I'm so happy. This was the first Japanese like film from this time period that I watched way back when. I can't remember when I watched it, but this was like my introduction to that whole time period of Japanese cinema. So it'll always hold a special place in my heart. Yeah, just a masterpiece. Throne of Blood. Definitely check it out if you haven't yet.
Hell yeah. All right, my number 5, I'm going to have, I think, our first overlap, and it is Night of the Living Dead from 1968. Again, George Romero, this is a classic. I feel like there's so many sequences that are just horror history when slowly walking up to the house.
Yeah.
We're coming to get you, Barbara. There's so many iconic moments. And I also love how this movie has so much social commentary, but again, it's not thrown in my face cheaply. It's just woven into the story, and it's so natural and it's subtle. It's part of the story. It's not like, hey, let's pause and tell everyone to think like this. It's just naturally part of the horror, and that's what I feel like 90% of movies these days are missing. They're just like hitting you over the head with, hey, think this, do this. So again, I love subtlety, and I feel like George Romero said so much while also just being like, if you want, you can take this as a horror, but if you want, you can take this as the horrors of the real world. So this is, I mean, one of the all-time greats, one of the best zombie movies ever made by one of the greatest horror directors. So this had to be my top 5. Night of the Living Dead.
Awesome.
Nice. Yeah.
I'm glad I'm not the only one that has that appreciates that film. I mean, yeah.
All right. So another overlap for my number 5. I went with Psycho, another Hitchcock. It's just, Norman Bates. He's just the Anthony Perkins, like that's who he is. I mean, it's just such an iconic role, and we get a lot of, I know like it sounds like cliche to like put, but like this is like a slasher. This is when you think of like, oh, this is someone to be afraid of, And I like that we just like our main character, she isn't great, she's stealing freaking, the freaking money, and then ends up at this hotel. So she kind of like, you don't really feel bad for her. So, you're really watching it for Anthony Perkins and his performance in it. And it's iconic. And there's a reason why it's loved. And it's just, it's a great film.
Oh yeah. It's one of the greats, one of the best.
Yep.
It's something.
Something tells me we'll be talking about that a third time. So we'll see. Okay, so that was number 5. So we're now on to number 4 already, chugging right along.
Hell yeah.
Okay, for me, this is not an overlap, but we've talked about this character already. My preference, though, is The Curse of Frankenstein, Hammer Horror.
Okay.
This is my Hammer Horror representation. Had to throw it on there. I like this. This was 1957. I prefer this to the original. The OG is more iconic. Obviously, the imagery of Frankenstein is iconic, but this one is more rewatchable for me. It's got Peter Cushing as Victor Frankenstein. I mean, fucking awesome performance by Peter Cushing. Christopher Lee is Frankenstein's monster. I believe this was the first Hammer horror film that they really came out with, and they kind of leapfrog from there. And obviously Cushing and Lee were a part of a lot of Hammer horror films, but I believe this was the first one, and I think it's the best one. They're all great. If anyone listening, or if you guys aren't familiar with Hammer horror, I mean, just pick any movie that interests you. I mean, they have vampires, and they pretty much reinvented the Universal monsters just for the 50s, and they are all so fun and so solid. That studio was just is from the UK, just pumping out great creature feature monster movies after great monster movies. But The Curse of Frankenstein, if you haven't checked that out, anyone listening, super good. It holds up. Again, it holds up because of the performances, and it's really fun. The ending is really intense when you have Elizabeth kind of going up into the laboratory, trying to figure out what's going on. You're like kind of holding your breath, and it's just it's really cool. I like this iteration. Christopher Lee's monster is a little bit more like human, like he's not scaled up. He's kind of just like this regular dude. He's a big dude, but he's not like enormous like in some different iterations of Frankenstein. So I like that. Kind of is just a straight up monster, but like you can tell that like he just is more of like an animal. Like he just doesn't know what the fuck's going on. So you kind of feel bad for him in that sense, but there really is no like there's like nothing behind the eyes almost. So it's almost like a pet. He's almost like a pet a little bit. And I love the ending. The ending is so cool when it's Peter Cushing, Frankenstein kind of in the jail cell talking to the priest, kind of pleading his case. Like, it wasn't me, like, who killed these people. It was this creature, and they didn't believe him. A spoiler alert, they didn't believe him, and it's a dark ending. But yeah, I love this film, and I just love Hammer horror, so I had to include it in my list.
I watched that once, and I remember, I was like, have I seen this? And then I remember the jail scene when they were like, it wasn't me.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, the dark.
I'm happy that that's your number 4, because much like on our classic villains, I feel like it was hard for me to put all the classic monsters on my list because I would have had to put all of them.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to shout out because it's just how I am. I think that, Frankenstein, Dracula, The Mummy, Wolfman, The Invisible Man, they were all so important to horror cinema, but I feel like I always look at them as a collective, so I can't have my whole top 10 be them. I think they literally, like I said in the Classic Villains episode, they just are in their own stratosphere because I feel like they were put the groundwork in for the genre. But having said that, we covered one that really, really, really stuck with me, and I feel like it doesn't get as much credit as those. And I have to give a shout out because I think it's one of the most rewatchable ones, and I'm actually not bored at all. And it is The Creature from the Black Lagoon from 1954. That is my number 4 on my list. I think that it's a beautiful movie. I think that you can see how much inspiration Steven Spielberg got for Jaws from that movie, and that's one of my favorite movies of all time. I just love how it's about the creature from the Black Lagoon, but it also asks us who is the real creature in this movie. Is it the humans going after the creature in his own habitat? I would say yes. So we had a whole debate about that when we covered the movie, but it's just beautiful. Again, the underwater shots of the creature swimming under the woman, it's just amazing when he's swimming under Kay. I just can't get over how much they were able to accomplish in 1954 and how damn good it looks. And again, it's emotional. The ending with the creature, it's like, oh, you're rooting for him by the end, and I don't think he is the bad guy by the end. So I just think it's a beautiful movie, and everyone always talks about the biggies, but I feel like not enough people talk about this one. So where those literally deserve their own friggin' 3-hour seminar, I just have to give some love and respect to The Creature from the Black Lagoon because I think that movie is gorgeous, and I was pleasantly surprised when I did my rewatch last year.
Nice.
Yeah, for sure. I loved covering that film when we did. It's definitely, I think, bar none, the most underappreciated of those films for sure. I mean, the fact that there wasn't endless sequels and spinoffs and just it's not still going is just mind-boggling to me. It's like weird because I'm almost glad that it hasn't been done to death, but it's also like it deserves to kind of. I know there's a movie supposed to still be in the works. There's been canceled iterations that have happened over the years, but yeah, this movie still holds up, thankfully. So it's not even like it really needs a remake because you can still go back and watch that movie. So that's great, awesome.
That's one that we because I took a horror and sci-fi class in college, and we were like deep diving films, and that was one that they had us watch just from taking a look at like makeup and like just visually and how they set everything up. And it's definitely one that should get more love, but I think it falls into again with like all of the other like the Draculas, the Mummy, the Wolfman, and all of them. So they all I feel like as iconic as they are, they sometimes get overlooked. A lot of people don't really go back and rewatch these because, like I haven't really gone back and rewatched a whole lot of these because I am watching newer films. So it's like they did set it up, but, Creature is a good one. It's like an iconic one. And I'm surprised. I feel like if they were to do a newer version of this, I would want it to be like so dark. I would want them to go, like it would have to be like just really, really dark. Nothing cheesy.
Yeah, agreed.
Okay, so sticking with Universal, my number 4 is Bride of Frankenstein, even though she isn't in the film pretty much like at all. She's so small. I like how this is a different take on, Frankenstein's monster. He's, smoking. He feels more human. And then all he wants is like a partner. And then he gets his partner and she's like terrified of him. And it's just like another sad story for Frankenstein. And I love The Bride, and she's iconic. She holds up as like as the like Elvira's and the, Vampiras and Morticias for me in my head. She's just an icon. So she had to be at my number 4, even if she's not in the film very much.
She left a lasting impression for the little screen time that she had for sure.
That shocked, scared look of like, man, I'm new to this world.
Yeah. Okay, great. Awesome. So that wraps up our first 7 entries, and we have our top 3 coming up, but we'll take a quick break and we'll do our honorable mentions now. Get those out of the way. I'm sure you guys have a few. I have like 4 or 5. And you want to kick us off with a couple honorable mentions?
Yeah, so like I said, Scream 4 introduced me to a movie. I also have one, House of Wax from 2005 introduced me to a movie, Whatever Happened to Baby Jane. Ooh, this movie's a gem, and it's just so evil. It's about a woman who was a former star, and she literally torments her paraplegic sister, and they're like stuck in this like old mansion, and it's just about a movie about like torment and torture, and I absolutely adored that one. And once I saw House of Wax, like I gotta see what that movie is. Why is she singing to her sister in that movie? So I found out it's really good. Little Shop of Horrors from 1960, Roger Corman directing, the big B movie producer, and we got our first look at Jack Nicholson in an early horror movie. I love that. Carnival of Souls, if you haven't seen that, it's about a woman who, after an accident, she is literally drawn to an abandoned carnival, and some freaky visuals in that one. If you guys haven't seen that, there's a lot of directors who have had inspiration from that movie. Especially, I feel like Rob Zombie, even House of a Thousand Corpses, definitely took some inspiration from that. That's a good one. Village of the Damned. You know how I feel about kids. Kids are creepy. And Village of the Damned is about a village of blonde-haired, glowing-eyed children. And I actually saw the remake that John Carpenter did of this first, but the OG is just all-timer classic. So I love that one. 13 Ghosts, again, if you want fun, ridiculous, cheesy William Castle, watch this one. It's even cheesier than House on Haunted Hill, and it is like similar cheesy, hokey vibes to the remake that came out with Matthew Lillard in the early 2000s. And my last one, just the House of Usher. I mean, who doesn't like some Fall of the House of Usher? Again, like gothic Edgar Allan Poe. So again, there's so many more. I feel like the 60s were such an underrated decade for horror, but those are just a few that I had to pick out. And then, of course, with all the monster movies that I wasn't able to mention from, the 20s and the 30s, I love them so much.
Okay, great. Yeah, I just have I have a few here. A few of mine have been mentioned already in your guys' list, but I have Bride of Frankenstein made my honorable mentions. Again, I talked about Boris Karloff in Black Sabbath as Frankenstein's monster. He's the original Frankenstein and Bride. Just iconic. Love this movie. So good. So beautiful. And the Bride is just a queen of horror. So had to mention that. We mentioned The Birds. The Birds made my honorable mentions. Again, not quite as good as Psycho, but it definitely had a bigger effect on me as a kid. And it scarred me for sure. And it's such an inventive kind of way for Hitchcock to kind of play on people's fears of ordinary things. So that's great. And then the other one that we mentioned already, I have The Haunting on there. Again, only because I've seen it the one time. I want to see it again, but I figure I remember how good it was. I want to throw it on the honorable mentions. The other two I have that we haven't discussed yet. The first one is The Most Dangerous Game. 1932. I love this short story. So I try to watch all the iterations that come out of this. And there's been so many throughout the years. But this one is one of the iconic ones. So fun. Just love that story in general. So I'm always going to love these iterations so much. It just barely didn't make my list. And then another one that maybe should have made my list, but I just feel like it didn't have enough horror elements to it, but it is kind of considered among people to be like horror. I just don't really think that's its main kind of genre. It's another Japanese film. It's Ugetsu, the film that kind of put Japan on the map in the Western world. Just one of the greatest films of all time, period. A masterpiece. It follows these peasants who... It's a tragic story about these peasants who try to just get fame and power, and they leave their families behind and whatnot. It's got spirits and ghosts in it, and that's why people consider it. It's like a kind of a predecessor to the folk horror in Japan. But it doesn't really have the imagery, like I said, Throne of Blood kind of really played with that imagery and kind of the sound design. This one doesn't lean too much into it, so I feel like I had to leave it off my top 10, but I still wanted to shout it out. Ugetsu, and that's it for me. What about you, Oriana? What do you got?
Okay, so my honorable mentions is really small, just because, like I said, I haven't watched a whole lot of older horror. But I did figure out that the one that I did put on my list is actually from the 50s, and it's one of the ones I put on was Creature of the Black Lagoon. The reason why I didn't get ranked higher is because it's been a real long time since I've actually rewatched it. I just remember certain imagery and then really liking it. The other one is Devil Woman from Mars. It's got cheesy like spaceships. It's like a ridiculous, cheesy, like kind of sci-fi horror. It's one that I also picked up while thrifting and was like, let's see what this is about. I actually put it on when I was getting ready. And then I actually made a list of ones that I hadn't watched, but I really do want to watch. Those are Black Sunday was one that I am definitely interested in taking a look at. The Bad Seed was one. And then what was the other one? The Haunting was another one, and Village of the Damned. And Peeping Tom was also one that was on the list for me. So I made another separate list of films. Yeah. So now that you're like, it's really lives up and it's really good. I'm like, okay. Just because upon like putting this list together, I was like, oh, I'm not very educated in older horror. And a lot of the ones that I've watched are ones either that I've watched for school or just watched out of curiosity. And, it's just, there's as cheesy as some of them are, this is where we get a lot of our horror that we love today. So I've definitely made a big list of older horror that I really want to dive into. And The Haunting is definitely one that is high on my list because of both of you talking about it. It's, and it's iconic from what I've heard. So I'm looking forward to it. So, but definitely if you're into cheesy spaceships, check out Devil Woman from Mars.
I've seen like clips of that. I mean, I've never seen the whole movie, but I feel like it's iconic, the imagery of that. Yeah.
It is. And it's
we love some cheese on this podcast.
I love cheese. You guys know I love my cheesy horror too. Come on.
Yeah. Okay, all awesome. Right. So those are all the honorable mentions. Okay, let's get back to our list, our top 3. So here we go. Without further ado, I will kick it off. And one we were just talking about, I think it was number 4 for you, Ant, Creature from the Black Lagoon, 1954. Just fucking blew me away when we covered this. Same with Anthony. I hadn't seen it in a while. Oriana, you definitely have to watch it again because I think it's going to knock your socks off watching it again. It is just so well done and so rewatchable to this day. The suit, the creature suit looks so good. And we talked on our podcast. We had Rachel on. She's a fellow creator who's obsessed with everything Black Lagoon. She really shed some light on some of the behind the scenes stuff. So if you guys have any interest in that, check out that episode. We're really proud of that episode. We had a lot of fun talking with her. So thank you to her. Just talking about kind of what the divers went through and just putting on the suit and kind of how they filmed the movie just gives me such an extra level of appreciation for this film. It's just like you said, Anthony, it's hauntingly beautiful. The creature is like the villain at first, but then he's just trying to survive and he's not the villain. And then even the humans, you have kind of different layers to each human. The one guy wants to leave the creature alone, so you're like, okay, I fuck with him, but then he's also like shooting at the creature. So it's very complex, but it's so beautiful. Like you said, Anthony, the shots in the water of him swimming just below the surface of Kay as she's kind of doing her swim through the lagoon is just like, oh my gosh, like they were really cooking with some of these shots. Just an awesome film. It's definitely my favorite of the Universal monster films from back then, just because it just holds up so well to this day. And it's just great. Shout out to Jack Arnold, director Jack Arnold, the legendary Jack Arnold, put out one hell of a movie. Make a new one for sure. Yeah. Make a new one. They've tried so many times. I know Guillermo del Toro was supposed to make one way back then and he got canned. So he made what's it called?
Shape of Water.
Shape of Water is kind of his version, but yeah, definitely, I definitely want to see a new one. I think it's time.
Yeah, I agree with that. And make it like straightforward, like fucked up horror
Yeah.
for sure. I love that movie so much. All right, my number 3 is one of my favorite animal attack horror movies of all time. It's The Birds from 1963.
Oh, nice.
I
Awesome.
love Alfred Hitchcock, and this was a big movie growing up in my house, in my grandparents' house. I just think that for what they accomplished in 1963, I feel like today it would be a bunch of CGI birds that look worse now than they did in the movie that came out in 1963. It'd be ridiculous. But the fact that they accomplished what they did, I saw that there was 370 effect shots in that movie, and it's in 1963. I mean, Hitchcock like directed the hell out of this movie. Tippi Hedren, she actually did really get scratched in the face by a bird filming the movie, so she did get the cut on the face. So, and I just always remember the bird, like the pecking. It was like pretty vicious and violent. And whenever I was a kid, I'm like, oh my god, the bird's just pecking at everyone. Freaked me the hell out. I love the sequence when they're running, when all the kids are running from the school, and they don't give a shit. They're just going at the kids too. He's like, all right, everyone's gonna get it in this movie. So I think it's so eerie at the end when like the birds are just swarming in the house. It almost does turn into like a slash movie, like the birds get into the house attacking everyone, and they have to quietly exit the house at the end. So I think, again, this is a beautiful movie, but it just shows that a movie can feel so big with so little. And I feel like there's not many filmmakers who could do that like Hitchcock did. So yeah, The Birds is one of my favorites. Number 3.
Cool. Awesome. Big Hitchcock guy.
Yes.
I mean, he did some great films.
Yeah.
So my number 3 is Nosferatu, the 1922. I own it. So like it's a silent film, but it's one that I actually can sit and watch. Like I can watch just from like, and I feel like it really relies on, the score heavy, and you are watching this awful looking vampire, and he's creepy, and just I appreciate what they were able to do for that time period. He's iconic, and just I hold a special place in my heart for this film, and I think it's the only silent film that I've been able to ever really sit through and be entertained. It made my number 3 just because I will put it on and just like peek out and watch, just, sit and watch silently. But, it's a good one. I love it. So
I'm glad you brought
really
it up.
happy. Yeah, I'm really happy with what Robert Eggers was able to do with the new one. Like, I felt very similar to, the 1922, but still felt like his own. So, yeah. Both.
Thanks for bringing it up. I'm glad that was on your list, because that was number 10 for me. And it just got bumped, and then I forgot to add it to my honorable mentions, so I slipped my mind. I wanted to bring it up, so I'm glad you did. So yes, give it its flowers for sure. Mm-hmm. For a silent movie, definitely. I mean, we covered it briefly when the new one came out, me and Anthony, and just talked about kind of what they were able to do for such an early film was really cool. Mm-hmm. The scene where he's carrying the coffin like through the town is so funny. I love it. It's great. Okay. Number 2 now. We got top 2. I struggled with this. I really struggled with my top 3, the order of them, but especially my top 2. And I'm going back to Japan once again, the golden age of Japan. I love these films, and the best one is Onibaba, released in 1964. Have you guys seen this? And have you seen Onibaba?
No. I know it, but I don't want to say yes because I know what it is, but I don't know if I've sat down and watched it.
You got to sit down and watch it, like with the lights off. It may not work for everyone, but it definitely works for me. It is so atmospheric and creepy, and just, Anthony, I love a good like isolation movie. It feels so isolated. It's a mother and a daughter who live on this swamp. I don't want to give too much away, but they pretty much like anyone that comes into their swamp, like there's samurai and stuff that come, and they like kill them and like steal their stuff to like sell. But there's like a spirit that starts to haunt them with this like traditional Japanese mask. It's actually one of the reasons why I have my hand tattoo of an Oni mask. It's so creepy. The shots of just like the swamp and the marsh, the marsh is like over your head, and it's like swaying in the wind, and then you see like the mask like within the marsh. It is so creepy. It is so well done, and it's just a masterpiece. Again, just a masterpiece. It was almost my number one. I almost put it number one, but to no fault of its own, it's number two for me. So both of you check it out for sure. I said Throne of Blood, definitely check out. It's definitely a larger movie. It's a grander movie, but this one is just super isolated and kind of small, but is so atmospheric and so creepy. I think you guys will get a lot out of it. Check out that for sure. Onibaba, 1964.
Number two. Wow.
Put in a lot of early Japanese horror on my list.
Yes, I know. When I made my list, I'm like, damn, I love that time period of Japanese horror. It's so well done. I mean, it's so good because it's, you know, not to knock like Hollywood from like the 50s and 60s, because obviously I have movies from Hollywood on my list, but like these foreign films, I believe I have, that was like my fourth foreign film on my top 10. There's just something about these foreign films from back then. I mean, they just felt so unique and so different compared to Hollywood. Hollywood had like that shine to them even back then. And it's like you had the movie stars and stuff, or where you had the foreign films, it was more just like about the story. It wasn't really about like the celebrities, if you will, or about Hollywood. So I think that's what draws me into those kind of foreign films from back in the day. They just feel so authentic and so real.
Oh yeah.
I mean, foreign films nowadays are always usually better than ours anyway. So they always push the limits that I feel like sometimes a lot of films that come out here just don't. And it's a lot of it kind of gets rehashed. So I feel like we get a lot of creative inspiration from foreign films.
Sure.
And anytime I take,
definitely,
like, anytime a new release comes out and it's usually like a new foreign one, it's easily, even if they're like special effects aren't the greatest or it's not as big budget as the ones here, the story and things are kind of like just like super fucked up, or they're just like they go there and they make for great stories. So it makes sense.
I definitely agree. And I think horror more than any other genre really highlights like different cultures and stuff, and you get to see kind of what these different countries are kind of putting out. You know, horror always mimics like what's going on in real life and society. So it's cool to see like movies from across the world being made, like horror movies, and specifically kind of in what they represent and stuff, and the different styles that they use. Yeah, for sure. I definitely agree with you there.
Awesome. All right, my number two is a biggie. It is going to be Roman Polanski's Rosemary's Baby. This movie, again, was on repeat for me growing up. I think it's so special. It's what introduced me to really the satanic panic, cult, devil worship horror subgenre. It's one of my favorites. And it's also one of the movies where it's like, it also kind of like introduces the trope of that we see so much. It's just like, oh, poor girl. Like, poor girl, you're doomed. And I feel like this movie, the whole time, you're just like yelling at Mia Farrow playing Rosemary, like, get out of there. Like, why are you letting them it's like, again, gaslight before gaslighting was a thing. And it's like, what are you doing? Please leave. You're literally going to be taken advantage of. And, oh, she really was taken advantage of. Literally. I mean, it has some really disturbing sequences for 1960. I mean, she's literally, you know, sexually assaulted by the devil in this movie, and it's disturbing stuff. And when you find out even the fact that her husband was even in on it, I mean, I remember the first time I watched it as a kid, I'm like, oh, I feel dirty. Like, this is gross. Like, everyone was against her. Like, she's so helpless this whole time. And I just like, again, the isolation of that building, that she literally is felt like she can't leave, and that's what leads her to literally just summoning this demon to come take advantage of her. And then at the end, she's like, that's not my baby. And then she's forced to take care of it. It's just really disturbing, bleak stuff. And I mean, Roman Polanski made one of the great horror movies with this one, and that's why it's talked about nonstop to this day. So Yeah, it's also like I feel like an epic horror movie because it's over 2 hours, but again, it's just meticulous in the building of the dread, and the end just goes like bananas when you find out everything. It's just like, oh, we were trying to tell you this whole time to get out. It's one of the movies where I was like introduced to yelling at the screen too, and I love that in horror movies. I know people complain, but I'm like, that's why horror movies are fun too. You just want to yell, be like, "What are you doing?
Yeah.
Get out of there!" So yeah, I love Rosemary's Babies. It's an all timer for me.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, I should just say my second one is also Rosemary's Baby. It's just rewatchable. Like, it's just awful husband, and you definitely feel bad for her, but the cult and like, it's bananas. And I also really did like the newer one that came out, was like Apartment 1A, I believe.
What's her face? I forget her name. Ruth from Ozark.
Yeah.
Yeah. I liked, what they did. It's not, for me, like, it's not as great as Rosemary's Baby. I like the buildup, and I know a lot of people complain about how long it is, but I like the length. I like this buildup and this story because, it's a great story, and I don't feel like it's dull. It's just fucked up shit is happening to this poor girl, and it's just, yeah. So it's one of my more. I rewatched this one, so out of a lot of these. So I'm glad it's number 2 for you too.
No, that's awesome. Yeah, that's such a legendary film. Okay, there we go. Drum roll, please. Number 1 for me is going to be from 1968. It's also Rosemary's Baby. Yes. That was almost number 2 for me. So we almost went 3 for 3 with number 2, but it's number 1. It's the movie that scarred me the most out of all these films as a kid. Same with you, Anthony. It was my first kind of satanic cult movie that I watched when I was probably way too young to be watching. It is just, like you said, I think you also said, Anthony, it's meticulous. It's long but meticulous. Every scene, every shot is just so purposeful. It plays on, again, a very regular thing that a lot of women experience in pregnancy, the paranoia of being pregnant and not being listened to, and just changes in your body and stuff. So it has all that social commentary. It is so damn creepy. The ending I'll never get out of my head. It like emotionally scarred me as a kid when you find out that like literally everyone is like not who they say they are, including the husband.
Awful.
Just like so creepy. It made me like question like people in my life and like, are they lying to me? Like, it was so well done. I have to address the elephant in the room. Roman Polanski's the biggest piece of shit like known to man. This movie came out though before all of that shit went down. So, I want to, give a highlight to the cast and crew outside of him. Obviously, they didn't know who he was because none of that shit came out yet. It wasn't for like another 10 years. All the newer movies that he's done after that, I just won't give any time of day to because I just can't. But because this came out before all that, like, even though he is a piece of shit, Mia Farrow and the cast and crew are largely innocent and all that. So I still like to give it its flowers. And it's just such a masterpiece. It had to be number 1. I was tinkering with not making it number 1. I'm like, I gotta make it number 1. I'm really curious. I think I know Ant's number 1, but I'm really curious to hear your number 1, Oriana, because like to me it was like, oh man, like I just felt wrong not putting it 1 for me personally. Such a great movie. I mean, yeah, I've talked to people that like it's their favorite horror movie ever, and I'm just like, yeah, I can't argue with that. Just a masterpiece.
All around great
Love
film.
it. So we were all in agreement on that one.
Yes.
All right. So my number 1, we all go a little mad sometimes. It is Psycho from 1960. It had to be. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. I know it's like generic, but everyone talks about Psycho for a reason because of how special it is.
Yep.
And I just remember the first time Billy Loomis said that line and screamed, I'm like, oh my God, he's talking about Psycho. He's talking about Psycho. We're going back to Psycho. I just think that, it was in my top 3. I think it was my number 3 for my favorite classic horror villains with Norman Bates. It was my number one for my favorite plot twist episode of all time. Again, the plot twist it's like, oh, Psycho's plot twist, but it's so generic. I'm like, yeah, because it is the plot twist movie. Like, it is the oh shit. I feel like it was one of the first depictions of the split personality trope that we see in so many horrors now. And like you said, Oriana, I mean, Anthony Perkins he is Norman Bates, and almost to the detriment of his career. He could never really get out of the Norman Bates vibe. He was only offered roles that were kind of creepy like Norman Bates, so it kind of like was a detriment to his career, but he ended up owning it and coming back for the sequels and even directing one of them. So I just think that it has everything I want in a horror movie. It's a slasher, it's a mystery, it has a twist. You know, I feel like it also introduced the trope of killing off a major actress like halfway through the movie. It really inspired the opening of Scream, and I was like, when that happened, I'm like, wait, Janet Leigh is dead? And I like that she is also like a different kind of lead protagonist to follow in a horror movie. She's not your typical final girl. She's not a final girl at all. And she is morally challenged because of what she does, but I still am like, oh, she didn't deserve that. Like she didn't deserve to get killed like that. And I just love the iconic house above the hotel. The motel is just amazing. Going through that feels like a haunted house. You go around the corners thinking like, is his mom gonna pop out? And then when you find out he is his mom and his mom is dead and he kept the body, I'm like, what the hell? It's just one of the most iconic and special movies ever made, and I will never stop going back to it. Again, the iconic score. Every time he brings that knife up the first time, I love the shadow of him going up to the shower curtain. I love the way that Janet Leigh, falls over the tub slowly, and you just see her lifeless face, and then you get to follow her sister, who ends up being the final girl who come to save the day, but she's too late. And I just love the ending is one of the most horrifying and unsettling shots in horror, where he's just like, well, Norma, she's as Norman says she wouldn't even hurt a fly, and you just get that smirk and that smile, and it just stares at you. And again, so many horror movies have taken inspiration from that. And yeah, it's just one of my babies. It always will be. My family grew up with it, and we watched it a lot, and we all have fond memories watching it. So yeah, Psycho, it's one of the GOATs for a reason. I can't get away from Janet Leigh, and then Jamie Lee Curtis is my favorite movie of all time. So I love Psycho, and I think it did a lot. It set the stage, along with, we're not going to forget about Peeping Tom, it really set the stage for the slashers to come. It really set the stage before the 70s came. So yeah, it's one of my favorites of all time. It always will be.
Heck yeah. It's such like, it feels like we're like, why? It feels like weird to be like, yeah, Psycho, but like, it is iconic for a reason. And he was phenomenal in it. So I can understand why it's your number one. All right. So my number one is, I'm going more pure nostalgia, and I always have this irrational fear, but my number one is actually Night of the Living Dead.
Oh,
I watched this,
awesome.
And it's just the ending with like all of the zombies like breaking in through the like walls and the windows, and just that feeling of like, I'm not going to be able to get out of this. We're not going to be able to fight our way out of this. I don't know if that's what sparked my irrational fear of zombies or what, but I love this film. And I think that, all zombie films don't, like, these ones are the slow moving, and yes, it's a slower paced, and there's other fast, scary zombies, but this is a iconic movie for a reason. And the other reasons why, the civil rights and all of the things that talked about, it's just a layered film. And it definitely battled Rosemary's Baby, because I do love Rosemary's Baby, but this one it holds a special place in my heart. And like I said, the irrational fear of zombies is why I was like, number one. I love the genre. I love the zombie genre. So this is such an iconic film.
Special one.
I had to put it at number one. So
yeah. That's great.
But
That's
it definitely
awesome.
battled.
I was worried I was going to be the only one to have that, so I'm glad we all kind of mentioned it in the episode. So great. Okay, awesome. We did it. Those were our top 10. We all, like always, we'll kind of run through them one more time, just as a refresher. I'll go first. So number 10, I had The Adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad, specifically The Legend of Sleepy Hollow within that movie. Number 9, I have Black Sabbath from 1963. Number 8, I have 1931's Dracula. Number 7, I have Psycho, 1960. Number 6, Night of the Living Dead from 68. Number 5, I have Throne of Blood, 1957. And then number 4, The Curse of Frankenstein from 1957. Number 3, Creature from the Black Lagoon, 1954. Number 2, Onibaba, 1964. And number 1, Rosemary's Baby, 1968. And it looks like I covered 4 different decades in my list. So I got the 40s, the 30s, the 50s, and the 60s. So pretty diverse there.
All right, my number 10 was Godzilla. My number 9 was House on Haunted Hill. My number 8 was The Haunting. My number 7, Cape Fear. Number 6, Peeping Tom. Number 5, Night of the Living Dead. Number 4, Creature from the Black Lagoon. Number 3, The Birds. Number 2, Rosemary's Baby. And number 1, Forever and Always Psycho.
All right. And my list is at number 10, Cat People, 9, The Birds, 8, Spider Baby, 7, 1931's Dracula, 6, 1931 Frankenstein, 5 is Psycho, 4 is Bride of Frankenstein, 3 is Nosferatu, 2 is Rosemary's Baby, and number 1 is Night of the Living Dead.
Awesome. Please, anyone listening or watching, let us know your favorites from before 1970. So we're going the 60s all the way back. Let us know what a list you agree with more. Maybe we'll throw out a poll on social media. So be sure you're following us on social media. This was a really fun episode, guys. I have a few movies to check out now on my watch list. And I'm really excited to get into that. And I'm really excited to get into the 70s. Next time we cover, and we just go decade by decade, the 70s is really going to be like some heavy hitters, obviously. And then, I'm more worried about the 80s. The 80s are like, I'm panicking about the 80s. So we'll see. But until next time, guys, I believe we're going to be doing I think speaking of the 70s, we're going to be covering the 70s next episode, right, Anthony?
Yes.
We have a movie for next month. Why don't you cover that real quick?
Yeah, guys, we're going to kick off the, summer season with a 70s very special movie for me. It's actually going to be a special episode to record because Nolan and Oriana haven't seen it yet. It is going to be 1976's Burnt Offerings, starring the wonderful Karen Black. Horror legend. So look out for that episode sometime soon, and I cannot wait to talk about it with them and get their first time watch reactions.
Yes, that will be released sometime in May, so look out for that. But until next time, again, follow us on social media at Never Split Up Pod. Again, thank you for 1,000 followers on TikTok and all the other follows on our different social medias. And we'll see you later, guys. Thanks so much. Bye.